What's going on, my beautiful governors? Today we are going to talk about a commander that we all are familiar with, Richard I. And as you can see, I kinda did invest it on Richard, but I already messed up. The reason is, I decided to invest on Richard quite late, but if you're investing on an early game commander, it's of course better to do it as early as possible. In my case, I thought I wasn't going to need a Richard I because this account was supposed to be a pure cavalry, but I think trying to main a troop type from the get-go with the creation of your account was the wrong choice, and I certainly did need a Richard I, especially in my KVK1. So today I'm going to give you my reasons why I decided to invest on Richard and why you should as well. So the first reason why I wanted to invest on Richard I or any other legendary commander is because the number of gold stars that I have. If you are an experienced Rise of Kingdoms player, you'll know that getting gold stars early in the game is a pain. It's a massive limitation for newer players. However, later in the game, like, they are, I don't want to say useless, but you will have a bunch of them that you don't know what to do with. And at a certain point, I decided to find a legendary commander to invest and spend my gold stars, make use of them until KVK3 is here. So that was the reason number one, but this is not related to Richard. Reason number two, whenever I get into season 3 and all commanders are available, I decided to invest on a circular AoE commander to chain barbs whenever I have literally nothing to do. I actually hate chaining barbs. I think it is quite boring. And also, this is like a sign of, if you're free to play, if you want to be like an hardcore free to play, you have to chain barbs. You have no other option. But chaining barbs is, I think, a way to admit that we are a slave to the game, because it's just so boring. But you have to do it to get the maximum value, especially, as I said, if you are free to play. When the time is right, you have the free time and you have nothing to do in the game, then chaining is it's not going to bore you much because you're not trying to chain all day. However, it is good to have that option available. But of course, I'm not going to invest on YSG just for that, because his first skill is not a circular AoE at first. It becomes a circular AoE once you max him. But to chain barbarians, 690 sculptures, that's a no-no. Maybe back in the day that could be a yes, because we didn't have any other circular damage commanders. But now we have Theodora, we have Zhuge Liang, we have Heraclius. So now we have a lot more commanders who does have a circular AoE and doesn't require to be expertise. So at some point in KVK3, I am pretty sure that I will invest one of them. So that was the reason number 2, investing on an AoE damage commander, circular AoE damage commander, to chain barbarians whenever I feel like it. My reason number 3 for investing on Richard I in 2024 is because just how good he is with very low investment. 5111 or 5511 if you have a little bit more budget is a great investment option for Richard, because the first 2 skills are his strongest skills in my opinion. And that's why Richard works really well with low investment, like 50 or 190 sculpture. I think that is a great investment, just purely from low investment perspective. And he is so good in one specific game mode, and I did struggle a lot because of the absence of Richard. And that is Sunset Canyon, and exactly the same game mode, but the KVK version, Lost Canyon. If you have similar power with somebody in Sunset or Lost Canyon, but they have Richard and you don't, it's almost guaranteed that you are going to lose 100%. This guy is simply just too good in that game mode, and it was kind of frustrating. I'm not going to say those rewards are amazing from Lost and Sunset Canyon, but it was frustrating to lose players who do have lower canyon power, matchmaking power, but they are winning against me because they have Richard and I don't. And just because I kept losing in that game mode, I was like, okay, here is another reason to invest on Richard. And last but certainly not the least, my final reason to invest on Richard, as I've explained at the start of the video, I think it was a dumb move by me trying to purely focus on one troop type at the start of the game, like in early days, KVK 1, 2, whatever. I thought I was going to be a cav purist, but it was a slap on my face, because you definitely need that versatility in the early game. I felt so limited because I was only using one march, either Minamoto Kauka or Minamoto Babers. If I had a level 60, doesn't even have to be 5511, a 5111 Richard, only like around 50 sculptures, with that amount of low investment, this guy enables an infantry march by himself. You can do Richard primary, FF flat secondary, You can pair Richard with Charles Martel. You can pair him with Bjorn, Sun Tzu. Doesn't matter. Like you can even pair Richard, to be honest, with Joan of Arc to have a tanky utility march, a support march. So he does enables a lot of options in early KVKs. And I unfortunately lost that chance. KVK 1 is over. However, I strongly believe that he will still be useful even in KVK 2. And of course, when you start using a march from a certain troop type, you also need the gear, you need the equipment, because without the equipment, your march is going to get decimated. And infantry, one of the strongest things about infantry is that their cheap gear is, in my opinion, really, really strong. Gatekeeper shield, insanely good blue equipment. Then you can do windswept warhelm for extra movement speed, and windswept breastplate so that you can get 2-piece set bonus. And then for gloves and boots, they're amazing. Sets brutality, infantry defense. And boots is frost stress, again infantry defense. And finally, this piece, Karak's humility, infantry health, 8%. Like, infantry cheap gear is really, really good. So you're not just investing very little number of sculptures to make Richard usable, but you're also investing very little amount of equipment, I mean materials or gold, to make a Richard march work. And that versatility plus being super cheap made me decide to invest on Richard even in 2024. But since we're a low spender, I am not actually using my universal sculptures to invest on Richard. The way that I do it is, let's say there is a Wheel of Fortune, I select Richard and I spin to 10. That's all I need because we are going for 5-5-1-1. We don't need to max him, so we don't need to spend all the way to 100 or anything like that. We are just going for 10. That gives us the best value. Right now we do have, what do you call it? Gem Rush. Yes, we do have Gem Rush, so I selected Richard from this one, for example. Or to complete the Gem Rush, let's say we are going to buy a daily special offer. Again, I selected Richard. So anything that can give me Richard sculptures without using my universal sculptures is a great way to invest as a low spender. If you're free to play, of course, Wheel of Fortune is going to be your best bet. But since I'm trying to have maximum amount of universal sculptures that I can get until KVK 3 is here, I decided not to invest these. Instead, over the course of time, as I said, from Wheel or other events, some related to low spending, some related to only in-game stuff, we are going to get our Richard to 5551 for sure until KVK 2 is here. And of course, we are going to use a really nice but also a quite cheap equipment for our boy Richard the First. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe if you did. I see you on the next video. Goodbye.